and answer to us for what they do at home and abroad.
And the justice rules.
With everyone equal before the law.
We're all countries and we their people.
Work together.
And partnerships of all kinds.
To make these goals a reality.
For everyone, everywhere.
These are the United Nations global goals
For sustainable development.
Let's get to work. Let's make it happen.
We can be.
We must be the first generation
To end extreme poverty.
The generation
Most determined.
to fight injustice
And inequalities.
The generation that saves the planet from climate change.
and this is how it will get done. The global goals.
A 15-year plan
For everyone, everywhere.
with no one left behind.
We will live in a world
Where nobody
anywhere.
lives in extreme poverty.
Where no one
Goes hungry.
where no one wakes in the morning
Asking if there will be food today.
We will live in a world
Where no child has to die.
Diseases we know how to cure.
and where proper health care
Is a lifelong right for us all.
We will live in a world where
Everyone
goes to school.
and education gives us the knowledge
and skills.
for a fulfilling life.
We will live in a world where all girls and all women have equal opportunities
to thrive.
and be powerful and safe.
We cannot succeed if half the world is condemned.
We will live in a world
Where all people can get clean water.
And proper toilets
at home, at school, and at work.
We will live in a world where there's
And power for the whole planet.
Without destroying the planet.
We'll live in a world where economies prosper.
and new wealth.
Lead to decent jobs for everyone. And we will live in a world where our industry,
Our infrastructure
And our
best innovations,
Are not just used to make money, but to make all our lives better.
We will live in a world
where prejudices and extremes of inequality
Are defeated.
Inside our countries.
and between different countries.
where people live in cities and communities
that are safe, progressive,
And support everyone who lives there.
where we replace
What we consume.
Planet where we put back.
What we take out of the earth. We live in a world that is decisively rolling back.
Threat to climate
change.
where we restore and protect the life in our oceans and seas.
will restore
and protect
life on land,
The forests.
Animals.
The earth itself.
With peace between and inside countries.
Where all governments are open.
And answer to us for what they do at home and abroad.
And the justice rules.
with everyone equal before the law.
We're all countries and we their people.
Work together.
And partnerships of all kinds.
To make these goals a reality.
for everyone, everywhere.
These are the United Nations global goals
For sustainable development.
Let's get
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So let's get to work. Let's make it happen. Once again, it's an amazing evening connecting from each and every one across different countries in Africa. It's so good to have you on the second series of the Teach4SDGs workshop. My name remains Emmanuel Olaoluwoyo. You can call me the Development Catalyst or the SDG Catalyst. That's what I do, and that's where I breathe each and every moment. Thank you for joining this evening. It's so good to have you on this call. And once again, I want to appreciate our facilitator, who is also on the call as we speak, and also the entire team of the Teach4SDGs. Thank you for the great work you are doing. Right about now, we are going to be starting, and we already have our facilitator who is on the call already. Thank you, Ma, for joining. It's so good to see you this evening. Thank you so much. We sincerely appreciate. And we are having Dr. Franca Agama, who is a distinguished chief lecturer and holds an esteemed position of the coordinator of the Yabatek UNESCO UNIVOC Center for Research and Sustainable Development. With a passion for shaping the future of urban environment, Dr. Agama has made remarkable contributions to the field of town planning and regional planning. And Dr. Agama is a recognized expert into her field, and she's a registered town planner. Her professional affiliation include membership in the Nigerian Institute of Town Planner and testament to commitment to advancement and ethical practices in urban planning in Nigeria. Beyond her academic and professional accomplishments, Dr. Agama is known as a dedicated mentor and passionate advocate for sustainable development and striving for fostering growth and that harmonize with environmental and social consideration is evident in our work and in all our engagements. We are blessed to have Dr. Agama in our midst this evening, as she's going to be leading the second series of the Teach4SDGs network. Good evening, Ma. So good to have you on the call.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be here.
So she is going to be starting the session right away. I believe we are all prepared for today's session, and which is going to be an impactful one indeed. Please get your notepads, get your diary, or you get your device. Just stay in a very comfortable place. And as we are going to be having a wonderful session on that's the aspect of education, embedding education for sustainable development and SDGs into the education system for the next 1 hour, and after which we are going to have the questions and answer. Over to you, man.
All right, thank you so much. So I believe you can see my screen. Can we all see my screen?
Yes, we can see it. We can see it perfectly.
Okay, so thank you. So I'm glad to be here. I want to thank you so much for the opportunity given. Once again, we're looking at embedding education for sustainable development and SDGs into education system. And this is presented August 12th, which is today. I'm hoping that we'll have a good time together to deliberate on the issues involved and areas where we need to collaborate and to move forward. Probably towards the end of the lecture today, we'll have to come up with some action plans and what we want to achieve. We need to start having deliverables that we can start putting together and compiling as a document. I won't refer to it as a communique, but we can start putting together things, a document as deliverables from these sessions. I want to believe that this program is towards after we are having our developing knowledge and capacity, it's going to improve our profession, it's going to improve our teaching and our learning, and it's going to contribute to our different communities. And at the end of the day, everything is going to connect to contributing to national development. So it would be good if we can have manuals come out of this session that we'll discuss towards the end of this class today. So like I was introduced by our convener, I'm Franca Agama. I'm the Chief Lecturer of the Department of Urban and Regional Planning at Yaba College of Technology. I'm coordinator of the Yabatek UNESCO UNIVOC Center for Research and Sustainable Development. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook. In fact, I have just started a fresh Facebook Facebook page that will be talking about national development, sustainable development, education for sustainability, and all that. You can find me on Facebook with Dr. Franca Agama, and then these are my emails. I'm sure this document will be shared at the end of this session, and we'll all have access to it. So you can see my emails there and all handles, social media handles, where you can find me, and we can continue with our discourse. So I look forward to having us on all platforms and towards having a robust discourse for continuity. So that said, I also still want to say welcome and good day to everyone. I don't know, we have several people from different countries here, so I can't say good morning, afternoon, or evening. So I'm hoping that we have a good day. And I want to thank you for joining today's presentation on integrating education and SDGs to sustainable development into the education system. So I always like to say, and I always carry this quote around, that education can and must contribute to a new vision of sustainable global development. Education can and must contribute to a new vision of sustainable global development. Every aspect of our lives requires education. We all got
Okay, I feel that's the network issues, and she's going to be back up shortly. And once again, want to welcome each and every one of us. Thank you for joining. Please, if you have your colleague that is not yet on this call, kindly reach out to him or her so that they can join as well. There are a lot of people that are not yet on the call as we speak. Reach out to them and ensure they join the call as we start to the session. Let me check if she's back now on the call.
I think I went off.
Yes.
I'm so sorry about that. We'll probably talk about some of these things towards the end of this class. These are some of the challenges that we face, okay? Developing curriculum, building capacities, enabling and carrying capacities and supporting infrastructure. These are some of the problems that we face, in as much as we desire to have that goal, to have that development. Some of the challenges that we have is that we don't have as much Okay, can we see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Hello, house, can we see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, ma'am.
Please, I need a response back. I'm not hearing anything.
Yes, we can see your screen, doctor.
Can we see my screen?
We can
you see my
screen.
screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, so please, I need you to probably interact with me. I think my internet is just being funny, and I've had quite stable internet since morning, so that I would know I'm carrying everybody along. So I was, saying that practically everything we know or we do, we learn, and that process of learning is education. So education is not such a new concept. It's not something strange. It's not about going to school. It's not about studying theories. Education is not about learning philosophies or deriving postulations, and all the big things that we study in the academia. No, education is just about learning how to do things, learning how to change, learning how to adapt, okay, learning how to innovate, to be resilient, to solve problems. That's what education is about. So I don't want us to stay within a box, to think that education is everything we do in our classrooms or in our various institutions. Is beyond that. And so education can and must contribute to a new vision for a sustainable global development. So we have an outline here that we'll be looking at or going through. We'll look at the background for information and rationale for education for sustainable development. We'll look at the aim. We'll look at sustainable development. We're going to be defining them. What are the goals and why education? We'll look at who are the people involved, who are the teachers and why are teachers involved, what are the scope, challenges and opportunities, methods, approaches and strategies, case studies and outcomes, and we conclude, and then we'll go to our different discussions and question and answer sessions. So the focus for today, like I said, for the Teach4SDGs project aims at addressing learning gap and to ensure that the next generation is equipped with requisite knowledge and skills needed to achieve a sustainable and equitable world. Okay, that's the focus of this initiative and this group, and I want to commend all the organizers and the brains behind this project. It's a laudable project, and I'm hoping that you get the visibility that you require, and the enlargement and the growth and the impact that this initiative has set out to achieve. So integration of ESD and SDGs into education system is crucial. Like I said in my introduction, I said virtually everything that we do or we now do or know, we learned. And so education is crucial, to change is crucial, okay, in ensuring that youths and the young ones especially are equipped with the requisite knowledge, skills and values to become responsible global citizens who can contribute towards sustainable development. I also said something when I started. I said education is not only about the concept and the theories we learn in class, okay, and that's why if you see in this introduction, it's saying that ESD and SDGs are crucial into education system, and it is so that we provide with requisite knowledge, which is one, skills, two, and values. These three things go in a combo, okay, they go together. So when you have knowledge and there are no skills to show the knowledge that you have, it becomes nothing with you. And even when you have knowledge and skills and there are no values, then you become questionable and cannot be trusted and may not be able to fit in to playing certain roles, okay? And so the ESD and the SDGs has outlined basic principles, okay, and methods and approaches that can help us, okay, build up, okay, youth and the future generation towards acquiring the requisite knowledge, skills, and values, to becoming responsible global citizens.
Hello, Doctor. I think
sustainable development. Yes, I'm hearing somebody, Mr.
Okay, we were losing you at some point. I feel it's okay now.
Okay, was I breaking off?
Yes, I feel it's okay now. It's okay now.
Okay, all right. So, and I'm here, I'm sure we are all here today because quite a number of us are tutors, we are teachers, we are lecturers, we are community leaders, we are sector leaders, in different establishments or communities, or institutions that we find ourselves. So when we talk about teachers here, the concept of teachers here does not only just relate, even though later we are still going to look at how the classroom teachers and education providers or tutors, okay, need to integrate the ESDs and SDGs into their curriculum and all that. But here we're talking about teachers in all aspects of it, okay? And so we play a key role in shaping values and attitudes and knowledge of our students As parents, we are also responsible towards shaping values and attitudes, okay? As community heads and leaders, yes. As heads of departments, as heads of institutions, yes, we play key roles in shaping values and attitudes of our learners. Okay, hence it is essential to equip all teachers with the necessary tools and resources to integrate the SDGs into their teaching. And that's a place of advocacy for workshops, for more awareness. That is one of the things that this initiative is actually embracing. Let everyone know about the SDGs and the roles they need to play and how they come in. However, a lot of teachers do not have access to resources and the skills or information needed to effectively teach the SDGs. So these are some of the limitations that we have, or the shortcomings. Some of us, we just hear about the SDGs. We just think maybe it's one policy somewhere, or it's one rule from the United Nations, or is it does not really bother us. We are not concerned, about it. Some of us know about sustainable development, but we don't really know how we fit in to achieving that, the goals that the SDGs has put in place. Okay, so we'll be looking at one or two of these things, as we progress with the class today. So now, why are we talking about sustainability in the first place? Why are we talking about sustainability? We have always had our ways, consuming our goods, living our lives, and enjoying our resources the way we have known how to. So why the sudden change? Why are we looking at other ways of doing things? And from the different definition about the sustainability, I'm sure if I ask the class now what they understand with sustainability, we would have as many definitions as we have participants on this platform. But most times I always draw out the keywords. That sustainability, it's about using resources in such a way that the next generation can inherit the same resource without their ability to use that resource, not being jeopardized. Okay, it's a philosophy that is embedded in the philosophy, of inheritance. We want the next generation to be able to meet their own needs with the resources that we have used without necessarily depleting them. That's what the SDGs, sustainability is about. And because there are several resources in different capacities and in different volumes, the SDGs are narrowed down to address the different aspects of our living towards ensuring that we have a better future, we have a better tomorrow that our children and the future generation can inherit. And this came about because we noticed, or world leaders, came to notice of world leaders and even humanity, that the way our consumption patterns were going, the rate at which we're consuming natural resources and generating waste, the world, the environment, the ecosystem is beginning to lack the ability to replenish itself at the rate at which we are consuming the resources and dumping the waste on it. And so several things were beginning to happen. Climate change was beginning to happen. Okay, poverty was coming in, inequality and environmental degradation. A lot of problems are coming into the space that we need some certain goals, some certain rules, some certain framework to guide our activities, our consumption, our production, our relationships in the society and human communities, so we can have a sustainable environment. We can have good relationships. We can have equity. There can be empathy. We can, in fact, to use a generic word, so that we can have a good world or good environment. And so these problems were not really, specific to any place, because the SDGs look at the environment as one global space. Okay, and more so because the climate problem, and environmental degradation and the climate change and the problems that come with it do not really have, any discrimination. Okay, the climate change It's happening. The world is suffering the consequences. So it's not like, oh, okay, the climate change is more in America than it is in Nigeria. So let's not bother about the climate change because we have just one climate, okay, globally. So the concept of education for sustainable development, okay, we'll be looking at that. We'll be looking at sustainable development goals and the importance of integrating the ESDs into education. And we'll also be looking at the role of education in raising awareness and fostering sustainable practices. And I think that's what I just did in my, the last discourse. So yeah, our world is facing unprecedented challenges. You see the word "our," and that's because we are all taking ownership of the environment. Okay, it's one world. We all own it. Nobody owns the world more than any other person. Okay, so it is our world. It's facing unprecedented challenges such as climate change, environmental degradation, social inequalities, and economic instability. Okay, so these challenges require a collective effort to find innovative and sustainable solutions. By integrating ESD and SDGs into education, we empower the next generation to become active participants in creating positive change, okay? So if we integrate the principles of sustainability, of conservation, of waste management, of responsible consumption, okay, into our education system, we will definitely empower our children and the next generation to become active participants in creating positive change. We would have empowered them to take informed decisions, that, oh, if I do or I act in certain ways, it's going to have certain implications on the environment. If our children are taught not to, dispose their waste indiscriminately, they are going to grow up with that culture. And that's the problem that we currently have. When we talk about the SDGs, there's a bit of stiff acceptance. People are not willing to really accept it, or they can just listen to you, but they're not willing to change because this generation grew up with a culture, okay, of not minding our consumption patterns. We grew up with a culture of indiscriminate dispose of our waste. We grew up with a culture of not sorting our waste, okay? We grew up with a culture of wasting water and power and energy. So we need education to change our mindset. Like I said in my opening remark, I said, whatever things we do today, we learn. And that's the very essence why integrating ESD into education is very important, because it's going to change the existing narrative. It will change the existing culture. Our children and the next generation will unlearn the things they've learned, okay, and become more active participants towards creating the positive change that is required or that is desired, okay? And okay, this is just an outline of why the need for embedding the SDGs and SDGs into our learning system. Yes, the world and the global warming, climate change, with consequences of flooding, of excessive heat, and different volcanoes and tsunamis and all this happening as a result of our development patterns and intensity. Okay, we have loss of biodiversity and species extinction, the waste, okay, especially, for the World Environment Day, the team was based on finding solutions for plastic waste. And we saw, during the World Environment Day, how much plastic we have in circulation at the moment. And the predictions are that by 2050 or 2030, there will be more plastic waste in our oceans than we have fishes. So you see now that that's a lot of loss of biodiversity and species extinctions, that we need to begin to cut down on our use of plastic products, and the companies also need to arise to finding alternative packaging alternatives to begin to replace plastics, or to begin to find packaging alternatives, or become more responsible towards cleaning up this plastic pollution. So a lot of things are actually happening. And if we're looking for alternative packaging, it still falls back on education and research, because it's research that will bring about other alternative packaging, options, and probably how to package in such a way that we can reuse or minimize plastic waste in circulation. We're also going to be, while we're also looking at this need for embedding SDGs, is also to close knowledge gaps, and obsolete skill sets. And for those of us who are lecturers or teachers in the house, this is actually very key, and it relates to us significantly. How do we close knowledge gaps? Do we renew our instruction manuals and instruction materials, to integrate contemporary approaches and practices? Do we still use obsolete skills? Are we still teaching the old methods? How recent and up-to-date are students with contemporary practices? Okay, so these are one of the reasons why we need to embed the ESD and SDGs, because with the ESDs on our mind and the SDGs and the need to protect our environment from biodiversity loss and species extinction is going to help you or drive you, to research into new areas to close knowledge gaps. Okay. We also need to close revolving traditions, culture, and mindsets. I already talked about that. And then demands for sustainable practices and innovation, which is very high at the moment because of the situation that our world has found itself, the surmounting waste generation, the pollution, okay, and the consequences that come with it, the climate change, are all asking for sustainable practices and innovation to reduce this impact, okay? And of course, poor community engagement. So the need for embedding ESDs and SDGs, okay? In the process of doing this, we are able to close gaps and to achieve, some of the objectives of, or almost all of the SDGs, okay, which will be followed up by community engagements with more awareness, with more government interventions and policy and collaboration with the academia and the industry and government, and NGOs and all. I said earlier that it is our world that is facing a challenge. And so the approaches, the interventions should be a joint effort. So yes, I earlier have discussed and defined what sustainability was about. Before 2015, we had the Millennium Development Goals. Okay, but by 2015, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and SDGs were formally adopted at the United Nations Sustainable Development Summit, succeeding the Millennium Development Goals. And these goals were to guide the global path to sustainable development, okay, after 2015. So it is a global framework, and they set environmental limits and critical thresholds for use of natural resources and strategies for social inclusion and economic development. Okay, that said, the SDGs did not only consider just the environment, but they drew out goals that considered economic development, that considered social inclusion, and also considered how we can set limits and thresholds for use of our natural resources, thereby protecting the environment. And so it is a goal that is all-inclusive, okay, that provides for social inclusion, for equity, economic development, and while achieving growth, that our environment is preserved. So we have 17 of these goals, okay, and they encompass a wide range of issues, that range from ending poverty and hunger, ensuring quality education and clean water, promoting gender equality, and combating climate change. The SDGs provide a comprehensive framework for addressing urgent global issues and creating a better future for all. It is not discriminatory. It covers everyone. It's a global framework. It's a comprehensive global framework that takes into consideration all global issues towards ensuring a better future for everyone. So like I mentioned, and I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with these goals. We have 17 of them. The first goal is talking about poverty, no poverty. Goal 2 is talking about zero hunger, good health and well-being for 3. Goal 4, which is the crux of our discussion today, is quality education. Then we have gender equality, goal 5, clean water and sanitation, affordable clean energy, decent work and economic growth, goal 8. Goal 9 is industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, goal 10. Goal 11, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production is goal 12. Climate action, goal 13. Life below water is goal 14. Life on land, goal 15. Peace, justice, and strong institutions is goal 16. And then the last, but not the least, partnership, for the goals, goal 17. So we have 17 of them. And these 17 goals can be grouped into 3 main groups that caters for environmental protection or preservation, for social inclusion, and then for economic growth or economic development. So these goals are to guide, the global path, is to guide the globe towards development, towards achieving a better future for everyone. So now this takes us to goal 4, which is the essence, or which is related to why we are here. The 17 goals talk about different aspects, of our development, why we are here. So I still want to read a quote from Irina Bokova, the Director General of UNESCO, at one time. And it says, a fundamental change is needed in the way we think about education's role in global development, because it has a catalytic impact on the well-being of individuals and the future of our planet. Now, more than ever, education has a responsibility to be in gear with 21st century's challenges and aspirations, and foster the right types of values and skills that will lead to sustainable and inclusive growth and peaceful living together. So it's said that the fundamental change that is needed in the way we think about education, it's important, and that's because it's almost a catalyst. Education is a catalyst. A catalyst is something that has the ability to trigger other reactions. So it has a catalytic impact on well-being of individuals and the future of our planet, because through education we can teach sustainable consumption. Through education we can teach waste reduction. Through education we can teach impact of our actions on the environment. Everything we need to know to preserving and to protecting our environment, and even through the process of having education, economic growth, can be achieved through education. And so goal 4 of the SDGs explicitly is the stand-alone goal. That's how I refer to it, because that goal helps to achieve the other goals. Goal 4 is very important, and it's talking about quality education for all. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development clearly reflects ESD. Education is an essential strategy in the pursuit of SDGs. Without education, the SDGs are just going to be another document that will sit somewhere that nobody would even know about or hear about. And that's what is happening now. What we are practically doing presently is education for sustainable development. We are carrying people along, we are exchanging ideas, we are teaching new approaches, we are motivating change, we are encouraging people to want to shift from the narrative they already know, to embracing new practices, to leave their comfort and convenient zones where they've been for a long time, to take opportunity and to dare to do new things towards preserving and protecting our environment. And that's what education can drive, and that's what education can do. So it is a goal in itself and a means of attaining the SDGs. It provides guidance that educators can adapt to learning context. So education goal 4 is very, very important. So having said that, I would still want to relate ESD to what we said earlier. Now that we know that education is a forum, it can help us bridge the gaps. And now that we know that the environment is having challenges, our consumption patterns need to change for the environment to stay sustainable and to be able to replenish itself and to sustain life and humanity, then there is need to take action. And that action is education for sustainable development. On its own, as goal 4, without being taught, without the other goals being talked about and advocacy and all, it will just remain potentials. It will just stay in a static space. But when we begin to educate and to do awareness, either formally or informally, then the information begins to spread and different people begin to embrace. As you can see, yes, we are not where we want to be, but you would agree with me that we've achieved a lot of success because people are now more aware than we used to be, okay? So we are not going to stop until everyone knows, until everyone that knows tell everyone or other persons that don't know, until all of us that know about it begins to take action and begins to implement the little practices and the techniques, then we're achieving success and we're having, a sustainable environment. So there is an urgent need for change in our lifestyles and a transformation of the way we think and act, which can only be taught, okay? The way we think and act can only be taught. And this thing goes back to that, my opening remarks that I said, whatever things that we have learned to do or that we now do, we learned them. We learned how to walk, how to drive, how to eat, how to walk, how to do practically everything. And so we inherited a culture that wasn't sustainable. And so now that we know that our actions have impacts on the environment and that there's a need to change our lifestyle and our consumption patterns and our thought process, then education becomes very important and becomes urgent, okay? So education system must now respond to these pressing needs by defining learning objectives and contents. So when we're talking about redefining learning objectives and contents, is beyond, for those of us who are teaching social studies or programs on national development or courses on GNS or basic science, it's beyond us to just teach about sanitation, wash your hands and keep the environment clean. That's, or to say, pick up everybody everywhere. We teach this in primary schools or in nursery schools. We teach children to pick up waste and it ends there. Now we have to begin to redefine the learning objectives and the contents. We need to let them know now that you don't just pick up the waste, but you have to sort it. This type of waste have this impacts on the environment. And so if you keep this kind of waste in the environment, it's going to hurt the environment. So we have to develop the vocabulary, we have to develop the language that each level of learning can understand. The way we will teach about waste management in the markets will be different from the way we'll teach them in formal places. The way we'll teach it in primary school or in nursery schools will be different from the way we'll teach them in the polytechnics or in the universities. We have to develop the language, different illustration manuals, that it will be easy and fun to relate with and to remember, and practical enough for our learners to learn quickly and to understand what we are trying to say. So if you tell your primary school students or your nursery or class students that if you drop waste in the environment, it's going to hurt the environment, you are going to leave that child practically maybe half confused, because he might not be able to understand how my dropping my plastic waste is going to hurt the environment. But if you come with pictures to show that, look, in the river, there are fishes, right? So if you drop this bottle in an undesignated place, or when the wind blows, or when it rains, the rain will take it through the drainage, it's going to end up in the river. And when they come to the river, they hurt the fishes that are there, and thereby affecting the environment, having impacts on food because the fishes are going to die. Okay, so you come with pictures and illustrations that the students or the children can identify with. So in the higher levels of learning, you can go for case studies, you can go for site studies, you can take a trip, okay, so that the students can understand, to sites where they can learn, hands-on and practically the things that we do that have impacts on our environment. And that's about defining learning objectives and content. You are still teaching, you are not changing your course, okay? Because when we started this in the Polytechnic, we had some lecturers complain that, oh, how am I going to expand my curriculum? NBT needs to approve of it. We are not saying you should expand your curriculum. We are saying that bring in new ideas, relate the subject with the SDs, explain, the context of preserving the environment with your teaching waste management, okay, and all that. Okay, so it has to deal with introducing new pedagogies. New pedagogies are just teaching practices, okay, that empower learners, okay. Sometimes you may even need to act a play. You may have to do a debate in your class. Sometimes some people are like, oh, I'm not in mass communication, I'm not in languages. You can be in environmental studies, you can be in engineering, and your students can still come up with a debate, okay, in order to drive home the point. There can be, a collaboration. You can co-teach a program. You can take your students from engineering to arts and bring some students from environmental studies and teach them on some common topics that concerns the environment or conservation and things like that. And the students are all going to come with their own inputs from their different angles. Thereby, they are learning more, and there'll be more interaction, more case studies, more analysis, and this drives the point home better, okay? So we need to urge institutions to include sustainability principles in their management structures, which is very key and important. Okay, we need to start building new green institutions, green schools. And when we're talking about green schools, it's not limited to your curriculum alone. From your building to your practices, to your administration, it has to be green. Those principles that are taught, across the different fields can still be brought in, can implemented in our different institutions, okay? And this includes how we build our buildings, the kind of power generators we have, the kind of bulbs we use, the kind of toilets, facilities that are installed. Do they conserve water? And all that. It should be all inclusive. The school should be green. We shouldn't just teach the practices. Whatever practices we are teaching in our curriculum must be implemented in our practice, in our environment, and in our administration, okay? To achieve this change, we need new skills, values, and attitudes that lead to more sustainable societies, okay? To achieve this change, okay, we need new skills, values, and attitudes. And new skills can only come from upgraded, okay, and updated curriculum and teaching practices, which is why we are here. So education for sustainable development is a holistic approach, okay? And I think that's what I have just explained. When it's all inclusive, the sustainable practices are included in your curriculum. the skills are brought in and the values, okay, to learning. Is a holistic approach to learning. And this equips the individuals or learners with knowledge, skills, and values that can help address complex challenges facing our planet. Okay, so like I said, it's not limited to just the curriculum. We must develop skill, and we must develop the requisite values. So it encourages us to think critically and make more informed decisions, to take responsible actions for a sustainable and equitable world. Okay, ESD is inherent in the concept of lifelong learning. So you don't stop learning. Once you have the sustainability, okay, as a philosophy or embedded in your learning, you carry the principles along with you wherever you find yourself. And whenever there is need to implement any of those or to pass the information across, it becomes easy for you. So it's a lifelong learning. It's not like, okay, I studied mass comm and that's it. You are out of school, you're out of school. No, okay, you keep on learning. It helps you to make yourself better, even as a mass communicator, as an engineer, as an urban planner, as an economist or estate surveyor or manager, or as a teacher, because you keep wanting, you're looking forward to bringing in new principles and approaches that can lead to a sustainable and more equitable future. So you don't stop learning. You don't stop looking for new ways of doing things once you are concerned, about sustainability. So different definitions has been given for ESD. Some people say it's the education for sustainable development, that enables knowledge, skills, and attitudes to shape a sustainable future. Some people say it's essential for achievement of sustainable society and is therefore desirable at all levels of formal education and training, as well as non-formal and informal learning. So yes, I said that my opening, that education is not only what happens in class. And so in my opening, I made reference to all participants here, that some of us are leaders in our community, some of us are parents, okay, some of us are teachers or tutors, community heads. And education was defined as learning how to do things, or to do new things, or provide solutions to problems. Okay, so it is not restricted to class room activities. If you look at the handbook, the UN handbook, you would see that where they provide knowledge of requisite skill acquisition and learning outcomes, you would see that they provided for different levels, from pre-primary to primary to informal education to TVET institutions and to universities. Okay, all these were provided there, and that's to show that they see, even the United Nations see education at different levels, as formal or informal. Okay, so there's no need, we cannot say that we can lay too much emphasis on what education is. It's a right, it's a basic right, a foundation for sustainable development. I said that already. It provides skills to thrive, is a fulcrum on which other SDGs are leveraged. Okay, it engenders awareness. Without education, you are uninformed. It's like a blind man without guidance. If an uninformed person, it's has no direction about certain things. Okay, and it engenders awareness and possibility of breaking away from existing circles. Okay, it breaks away inequality and engenders inclusiveness. Okay, it develops students, schools, communities, and key values and motivation to take action. So education is very important. And why do we have to enshrine the ESD? I think I have said a lot, in the course of this lecture, that ESD can develop cross-cutting competencies. Okay, it can develop scientific learning outcomes on achieving specific SDGs. I made reference to plastic pollution, I made reference to waste management, okay, developing packaging alternatives, developing sustainable products, sustainable industrialization and everything. All these are going to be products of education, okay? So education and ESD develops specific learning outcomes, okay? And scientific innovations. It engenders collaboration, creativity, and motivation, okay? And all this can happen in different scopes, from personal levels to individuals, to communities, to local, levels, or even globally. Okay, so you see now that this initiative, cuts across more than Nigeria. It's going across different communities and even different countries. Okay. And also government and institutions, all education institutions are involved, from preschool to tertiary, and even the non-formal education are all involved. Okay, and we are all responsible to deal intensively with matters of sustainable development and to foster development, okay, of competencies. So who is involved? I think everyone is involved. We are all stakeholders, because the environment and the world is ours, is sustaining us, it's providing us the resources that we need to sustain ourselves, okay? So we cannot afford, things to go wrong. So we are all involved. Everyone is involved. Government, private sector, civil society, individuals, we all have parts to play, either locally or globally. Okay, governments most times take ownership by establishing national frameworks and policies and measures for the implementation of the 2030 agenda. Recently, and I think that was just a few weeks ago, the Lagos State launched the Circular Economy Hub and the Lagos State will be the first state in Africa, okay, that would launch that hub on circular economy. And they had several sessions, and they are generating awareness. They're taking the drive out, and that's because Lagos State is one of those states that is faced with a lot of consumption and waste, due to the high population that the state is hosting and the intensity of development and all that. So the state is beginning to look at different approaches that they can handle the waste. And even waste from construction, how can they embrace green buildings, and things like that? So they just launched the Circular Economy Hub. That was on the 17th and 18th, or 16th and 17th of July, and it was a good initiative. So sometimes governments come up, okay, with different policies or measures to implement the 2030 agenda, and that's towards sustainable waste management and maybe building sustainable cities, and even to protect, because the issues around waste management, if you look at it, it crosses across several SDGs, the several goals about sustaining, building sustainable cities. It's about protecting life on land, protecting life underwater, because most of waste goes into the waterways and things like that, okay, and all that. And even the circular economy also brings about, employment for some sectors, of the economy, okay, and that takes away poverty and all that. So it's something that we are all involved, and we should begin to see it as a collaborative program that we need to work together across disciplines, across institutions, across countries, because whatever successes we achieve is towards preserving the one planet, the one environment, the one ecosystem we're all living. So what are the importance of embedding ESDs into our education system? It teaches new practices and methodologies, okay? It raises awareness and understanding, okay? It raises awareness and understanding of the importance of sustainable development and the role that individuals can play in achieving it. It equips with knowledge, skills, and values needed. It brings about partnerships to address the challenges. Okay, I'm talking about partnership. Lagos State launched a hub, and it was in collaboration with Circular Economy Africa, Lagos State in collaboration with Circular Economy Africa and the Netherlands. So you see how different bodies came together to form partnership to addressing global challenges, okay? Empowerment of students to become change agents, promote a sense of responsibility and ownership among students, which can lead to long-term positive impact. So without not embedding ESDs, like I said earlier, it's not achieving our SDs. So we must embed ESDs to achieve our SDs. The process of embedding your ESDs, you are embedding the SDGs too into the education system, okay? So they go hand in hand. I said it is a combo. They go hand in hand. And so it brings about, all these, okay, bringing about new practices and methodologies, it bringing about new teaching practices and pedagogies, it brings about awareness and understanding, it equips with knowledge, skills, and values, it brings about partnership, it empowers students and individuals to become change agents, and bringing about a sense of responsibility and ownership, okay, among students, which can lead to a long-term positive impact, okay? Yes, we can achieve all this, but we have one or two challenges. Embedding ESDs and SDGs into education system comes with challenges. One of them is lack of awareness and understanding among educators and policy makers about ESD and SDGs. And I'm glad that we have the Teach4SDGs, this initiative, okay, taking a bold step. So making sure that people are aware or know what the ESD, the SDGs are, and the relevance of integrating or embedding the ESDs into our education system, and the roles that we all need to play, okay? We've gone to places for mentorship, to carry teachers along. We've had some complaints, and all that about capacity building, about going out of my curriculum, about the need for internet and data or learning materials not being made available and things like that. Yes, the good thing about these challenges are that they're becoming less than they were before. Now we are having more people embracing the SDGs. We're having more, organizations fund events and programs and projects and initiatives about SDGs. We're having more capacity development and all that, okay? So the knowledge gap is being bridged, okay? And people are becoming more aware. We had a tour of some schools at some point, and when we started, many schools didn't really talk about the SDGs because when we spoke to the students, a lot of them didn't know about what SDGs were. The few who knew about SDGs were probably some who were taught SDGs by their parents or have learned something, and all, So we got back into teaching, talking to the school authorities and all that, encouraging them to making sure the students know about the SDGs and the roles they need to play and little activities they can, organize within the school to drive home the point. And by the time we're going around for a second tour, we saw that the awareness had significantly improved. So what we try to do at the center now is when we have our programs, we invite secondary school teachers or primary school teachers to come on board to be part of our programs or our workshops, and they take home some of the principles or case studies or things they've seen and they've learned. So that way we are bridging the gap, okay? And we're, the awareness is spreading gradually. So the integration of ESDs and into the curriculum can be challenging, okay, due to limited time available. This is one of the responses we got, and I put it here because a lot of teachers, especially in the pre-secondary schools, already have curriculum. They are teaching their students. Maybe a teacher is teaching about 3 or 4 courses and probably not willing to bring in anything new, okay? So these are things and areas that we'll probably be talking with proprietors of schools and leaders of schools and probably with the curriculum development bodies to see how these things can come into our curriculum so that the young ones can be carried along, okay, from their young years, and they can grow up with that new culture, okay? And due to limited time available, it affects their need to cover other essential subjects. Hence, they are resistant, okay, to change. You know, they think that they have not finished teaching the things within their curriculum, that they are not willing to start going beyond their briefs or why they are there in school. So these are some of the challenges, okay, that we face at the moment. But the good thing is it's easy to come up with ways around it and to find solutions for these challenges. So it's our principles and techniques can range from simple actions, okay, as little as changing how we think and act, changing our perspectives and values, reorienting curriculum to address SDGs, identifying knowledge, infusing sustainability concepts across subjects. And I think I explained that earlier when I was talking about waste management, maybe from preschool to secondary or to our institutions. You can infuse sustainability concepts, you know, across subjects. You can teach your school students to put off the light and then tell them why they need to put off the light, you know, and all that. Okay, so, and then teacher training, organizing workshops, professional development, capacity development, and sharing best practices with teachers and tutors or educators generally. Okay, acquiring, building skills and innovation, collaborating either interdisciplinary, and then the place for monitoring, evaluation, and tracking progress is very important. Like I said earlier, that we went around a few schools sometime in 2018 or 2019, you know. So by the time we went back in 2021, after COVID, more schools now knew more about the SDGs, and particularly because there was a lot of online learning too at that time, okay? And more awareness, you know, about things about washing hands, about cleanliness, about sanitation, and all that. So there was really a lot of awareness. So it's good to monitor and evaluate, and, you know, thereby you're tracking your progress. So while we are teaching the SDGs, while we're embedding sustainability, let's track progress in us, learners, their attitudes and their values and their knowledge and how they see the environment and what roles they can play. That's the only way we can know whether we're making progress or we are not. And that will help us to begin to review our methods, our teaching practices, or our curriculum. And that's the process, the basis for reevaluation and review of curriculum, basically. And that's what is happening at the moment. The current curriculum we have or we use is seen as inadequate to building skills that can address today's challenges. And that's why we are doing this workshop, that we need to embed ESD and the SDGs into the curriculum to help us achieve a sustainable future. However, done, you know, even though you have done that, there is need for you to also monitor your progress and your evaluation. To monitor and evaluate your progress. That way you would know whether it is your delivery that you need to upgrade, or the content, or the approach, you know, whichever way that you need to amend in your curriculum, you know, that would, you know, be made known if you monitor and evaluate. Okay. So some of the approaches that we also need, you know, we'll continue with the approaches. Okay, it asks for action-oriented pedagogy. So there's a shift from theory, dictating notes upon notes in class. The students are writing notes for the 2-hour class, and they're writing notes the entire 2 hours. They don't even have time to digest the information you are giving them. You know, that way some students may not even do well. They may not even know what you're talking about, okay? So there is need for action-oriented teaching, okay, or transformative pedagogy, which supports self-directed learning. You can give them assignments, give them scenarios to analyze, okay? Participation and collaboration. Like I mentioned earlier, you can bring students from engineering, from building, from planning, from architecture on a common course. They all work in the physical and the built environment. You know, so they have a lot of things in common. The engineers build roads. The urban planners design where the roads should be. The surveyors, you know, do the billing and everything. The builders have parts and the roles and their roles to play. You know, so everyone has a role to play in the built environment. So if you're teaching some certain topics that are related, that brings all of them together, then there is need for them to come together in one space. And that way they can learn more, their minds will be broadened, they will be in a more relaxed environment. Even the tutor, the teacher, you know, it's going to learn a lot from the students too, and will be able to compare case studies and make out scenarios, you know, that the students can go back to do scenario analysis and come up with very intelligent initiatives and innovations that can actually solve problems or reduce waste or reduce impacts on the environment, okay? So it's, you know, ESD helps us achieve that, okay? If not for ESD, the engineering person will be doing his own engineering. The only thing that brings them together is when we are teaching maybe a professional practice, and then you're asking them, what are the other professors, professionals that you work with on site? You say, okay, I work with architects, I work with engineers. It's beyond that now. It's beyond that now. They have a common environment. They are planning, they are building, they are developing, and they must collaborate to solve the problems that would face the environment, you know, through their different disciplines, okay? So it links formal and informal, and only such pedagogical approaches make possible the development of key competencies needed for promoting sustainable development. It does not only integrate content such as climate change, poverty, you know, into the curriculum, it also creates interactive learner-centered teaching and learning settings. Okay, I want to, probably towards the end, maybe we'll give ourselves an assignment that we'll submit to the center that we can review and we can look at and we can share, so that we are not only constrained, we don't just come for lectures. We can go back to say, okay, each one of us go and come up with a beautiful curriculum. See how you can initiate or you can integrate or embed something into the course that you currently teach. Okay, come up with illustrations and examples and tell us the approaches you want to use, whether it's case study, you want us to go to sites, you want us to take pictures or videos, or you want us to watch videos online or compare videos and learn different scenarios, you know, and all that. So, you know, that assignment will really, you know, be thought-provoking, and it will be very interesting for us to look at. Okay, it is a shift from teaching to learning. When you are dealing with ESD, both the tutor and the learners are all learners, okay? And because you come with an open mind, you know, to seeing new strategies for moving forward. All this we have said, how do we implement them? One, we can implement them by integrating ESD into our curriculum. Schools, educational institutions can integrate ESD into subjects, curriculum, science, social studies, language, arts. The people in language can develop memes. They can develop poems or readings that can help with awareness, okay? People in languages can help translate information about its sustainability, to formats that visually impaired people can be able to relate with, okay, that audible people without hearing problems can relate with, and all that. So this helps students understand the interconnectedness of different systems and the importance of sustainability, okay? We need to integrate them into our curriculum. In the Yaba College of Technology, we already started. The SDSN also partnered with us, and we worked some polytechnics, within this Southwest for a workshop, a 2-day workshop we had sometime last year.
Hello, Doctor. Your
how
network,
we could integrate greening or sustainability into our curriculum. Okay.
Hello, Dr. Gama.
So yes, this is
if
possible.
You can hear me.
At the moment, apart from bringing our curriculums across the different faculties, we're presently working on 2 curriculum. One is generic, one is thematic, to see how we can carry everybody along across all departments. And
hello,
we're
Doctor.
Working with the NBT.
I don't know if you can hear me.
We are still putting it together. We have mentioned to the NBT, once it is finalized, it's going to be probably embedded in one of the JLS courses, so that all students can be taught, about the SDGs and what they're about, what their roles are, and offshoot from that will be taking us to more thematic curriculum. So eventually, we may even begin to have new fields of learning emanating from
hello,
these,
Dr. Gama, can you hear me? If you can hear me, ma'am.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Please, I would like to call your attention that we have till 4:50 to end this session, so that we can take some questions and answer. Earlier, we were losing at some point, and yeah, but I think the network is now better.
Oh, okay. So we need to, it can help us with experiential learning, okay? It fosters critical thinking and problem solving. It involves the community. We need to involve the community, okay? It's most effective when it involves local communities. Teachers can invite community members to share expertise and competencies or experiences, okay, related to sustainability. We can provide professional development for teachers, the use of technology, and of course, celebrate successes. And we have outcomes: holistic learning, critical thinking, empowerment and active citizenship, systemic thinking, building partnership. I think because while I'm discussing, I'm not just browsing through, going through the notes as fast as I should, but my discussion, has cut across, these things. We need to think systemic. In other words, we don't stay alone. Collaborative thinking, working in a group with, looking at the system as a complex synergy of many parts is important. Okay, promoting dialogue and partnership in our decision making, creating a sustainable future is ultimately the integration of ESD and SDGs to our education system. If we must have a sustainable future, okay, it equips individuals with the tools they need to make ethical choices. This cannot be over-exaggerated. It cannot, cannot exaggerate these things. We are trying to see how much you can drive home the point. So in conclusion, integrating ESD and SDGs into the education system is not just a matter of academic enrichment. It is a pathway to nurturing informed, empowered, and compassionate individuals who are prepared to address the challenges and opportunities of our rapidly changing world. ESD empowers learners to take informed decisions and responsible actions for environmental integrity, economic viability, and a just society for present and future generations. As educators and stakeholders and advocates, it is our responsibility to ensure that ESD and SDGs are seamlessly woven into the fabric of education for the betterment of our planet and generations to come. By embedding ESD and SDGs into the education, we can ensure that the youth are equipped with the necessary skills and values that can contribute to sustainable development and achieve the SDGs. So I think that comes to the end of this class. we have the next few minutes to talk, to share our success stories after the last lecture we had. We can share our success stories or share our experiences, or we can ask questions, and then we can talk about the assignment. I think I already gave us the assignment. Probably I'll send a more detailed assignment to the coordinator, the convener, which will pass them across to us. And then we can share some of these assignments and maybe talk on another platform after this class. So that said, I want to give the room to our convener now. Thank you so much. I'm glad you have me here. I'm glad to be here, and I'm happy, to have a little to share with you. So it's a learning process. Like I said about ESD, everyone is a learner. We're shifting from teaching, space of teaching to the place of learning. We are all here to learn. Okay, nobody's an island. So let's be free to share success stories, to ask questions, and to share experiences. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Agama, for this insightful lecture. It's indeed loaded. I want us to appreciate her in the comment section. Okay, let's appreciate Dr. Agama in the comment section. Yeah, it's been a loaded session all the way right from the inception of this meeting. Thank you so much, Ma, for this engaging session which you've led with us, and we indeed enjoyed every part of it. And to all our YouTube participants, it's so good. I hope you also enjoy it just like we enjoyed it here as well. I know it's going to be smooth over there. And right about now, we are going to be taking questions and answers for the next 10 to 15 minutes before we end today's call. And please, those of us on YouTube, kindly use the comment section to drop your question as related to this focus on education for sustainable development and SDGs into education system. If you have a question on Zoom, kindly raise your hand as you will be called. Can we have Wisdom? Wisdom, can you unmute your mic and ask your question?
Thank you, coordinator. And thank you also, Dr. Agama, for this very great lecture. My question is, in the primaries and secondary schools, where maybe we have just one person, maybe in the neighboring communities or neighboring school, there are no other SDG personnel. Can help to know the nearest person that is in this program, whether to partner together to make sure we drive this goal, probably within the community or within the closest schools. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Doctor.
Okay, so maybe I should just quickly respond.
Okay.
So the issues about SDGs, no measure is too small. No effort is too small. If you're in a community where you probably are you are the only one, you can start by impacting your school. And I think that's what this initiative is about. Okay, they are trying to see as many people they are willing and able to carry along. So the person that asked the question, you can start a small program in your school. You can head the program. If you need facilitation and program, you can talk to the convener of this initiative. And before you know it, you are 3 in that school. Okay, and that's the essence actually. I think it's the TOT, everything about the SDGs, the training, they train the trainer. Okay, so you carry along your colleagues, okay, on the principles and the practices or the techniques, of sustainability and what we can impact into our curriculum, no matter how small. If you want to hold programs and you need capacity, you need support, you can reach out to this network. I'm sure they will know what to do. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Emmanuel.
So just to add to
I don't know. I'm sure you're willing to provide mentorship to any institution that is willing or that requires mentorship.
Okay, it seems the network is really dragging. At some point, the latency when
oh my God,
finish speaking, I still hear you. Yeah. I still hear your voice, but that's well fine. And please, Anita, kindly drop the tracking and evaluation form so that the educators can give us the feedback, and we also track their presence for this evening. So, Doctor, we have a lot of hands up, and we appreciate if we can take as many as possible. Maybe we can take them 3-3. Okay. Then you briefly respond to each person. I hope that's fine.
Okay.
All right, ma'am.
Okay, that's fine.
So can we have Ekwaba from Cameroon? Can you unmute your mic and ask your question in 30 seconds, please? In 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you very much. I think one of my worries she has answered in the issue of maybe us meeting you if you have some worry. I'm an advocate for global school, and one of my worry was when integrating the SDGs in my school, they accepted it, they welcome it. But now, for example, if you want to practicalize it, I had to like meet a founder of NGO. Then I did something called school, that's street competition for schools, just to like bring that idea of restoring the land, our landscape. But now we like to talk about challenges. One of our challenges is practicalizing it. For example, when teaching, I was teaching under entrepreneurship, I had to go with plastic waste management, that's plastic waste. But now, if I go out, we're like picking plastic, where do we have those containers to put? Because maybe the principal is like, what do I gain from there? Where do we have the resources? Why should we spend money on that on which we do not put on the budget? So I think that's one of our challenges that we are facing. I don't know if you are getting me.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. It's well understood that you noted your point. She has noted your point. Your question rather. Can we have Courage? Courage, can you unmute your mic and ask your question?
Yes. Good evening. This is Courage. Yes, I would like to ask two questions, but they are related. One of the questions, she made mention of assignments. So I would like to know when these assignments will be shared to us, the participants, and if the assignments will involve our schools, because in Nigeria right now, our schools are in break. There's a school break, so I would like to know. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let us have one more person. Okay, I can see a lot of hands. I also want to give it to a woman. Okay, can we have Joshua? Mr. Joshua, you can unmute your mic and ask your question.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you, Doctor, for the beautiful presentation. My question is as simple as this. Please, what is the durability of this training? That is question number one. Then number two, how long are we going to work as SDG teachers? These are my two questions. The durability of the training, and how long are we going to work as SDG teachers? Thank you.
Okay.
Back to you, Doctor.
Can I answer this? Okay, so Mr. Manuel, you're also going to put some voice there on the first question of the last speaker about how long, okay, the durability of this program. You are going to put your voice, but I want to quickly just put in a word there about the challenges of our sister from Cameroon, okay, and her school, with the waste management collection, and acceptance of the schools. So we have different initiatives about plastic waste collection in Nigeria. And that's the beauty about collaboration. We can study the practices of these people and see what they are doing differently that we can adapt, okay? So that if the school is not even willing to fund it, we can find out how other businesses or other people who are doing it, how they are doing it and how they get their funding, how they are able to sell these plastics to people who are able to recycle them and things like that. So, and that's the place of collaboration and sharing knowledge, okay? It's good that you send emails to people who are doing it better, or we asking questions, or we can even help you, to get information. You can always reach Mr. Emmanuel, and he can help you answer questions or even help you connect people. And you can also reach me. Like I said, I shared my address, when I started this program. You can reach me on Dr. Franca Agama. You can ask me questions on Dr. Franca Agama on Facebook. I will answer your questions. It's a new platform that has just started. So if you ask me questions there, I would answer you. And then the second question on assignments for teachers. No, it's not. This one is just to test how we understand what we have learned today and what we learned in the last session about embedding ESD into our curriculum. I'm sure we all have curriculum of the courses or subjects we teach. I am giving us an open assignment in whatever way you feel you can bring in some elements of sustainability into that course. Just try to do that assignment and probably submit to us. Let's look at it and see how we have progressed. And I said something about measuring progress, okay, and success. So that's what we want to see, that okay, now when you are teaching that course, you are going to be teaching that aspect of sustainability that you have embedded. And then talking about how long we remain as sustainable teachers. It is lifelong. It's a lifelong learning and lifelong teaching. It does not end until we hand over the sustainable environment to our children. And we have taught the next generation how to hand over to their own generation. So it is a lifelong learning. It's not going to end. And the durability of this program, I'm sure Mr. Emmanuel will talk about that. So thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. Over to you.
Hey, Doctor, I'm trying to go through some questions on YouTube now, and I won't like we miss them out. There's a question from Jonathan. He asks that 17 SDGs seems overwhelming. Would you advise focusing on one in particular school, or just create awareness for all the SDGs? Then there's another question from Onyeshi. How do we embed ESD in teaching mathematics in order to achieve the desired aim of the SDG? Those are the major questions for now. I don't think the other question has to do with requesting for material. Yes, this is going to be shared with you, and we are going to receive a link regarding that. Please, Doctor, we appreciate you attend to these two questions from our YouTube participants, man.
Okay. So the first question talks about the SDGs. There are 17 of them. Definitely, you cannot embed 17 SDGs into one curriculum. Okay, like currently, I teach a course named Sustainable Human Settlements. Already, the content of that course has some elements of environmental preservation and conservation, which is an element of SDGs. And it's enough for that course. So the SDG that you would integrate into any course must have a relevance to that course. Okay? So that you don't overload the course. If not, you're going to be loading it, and of course, it will be overwhelming. You can't teach the 17 SDGs. So you will find out that before you teach across 10 subjects, you would have indirectly or directly would have touched at least 10 SDGs in a term across 10 courses. Okay? And you don't have to go so broad. You can bring a small aspect of the SDGs that is related with that course, and you know, because it's learning is a process. Your learners are not going to learn everything at one stay, at one go. No, we are all still learning. I am also still learning. So it's a process. Okay. So, and then about infusing the SDGs into mathematics. I'm sure some of you will be wondering, how do I include mathematics in SDGs in mathematics? Okay, now, is mathematics involved with manufacture of vehicles? When we study statistics and we do probabilities, and we are studying occurrences and viabilities, I'm sure that's mathematics, right? So mathematics can come in our place of making predictions, in our places of modeling occurrences, you know, and all that. So different fields have a way of bringing in the SDs. And don't forget, I said it's a collaborative thing. We are all learning. I can do my studies, and the mathematicians can help me do my modeling. They can help me do my statistics and run my probabilities. The statistics we are all learning today, is it not coming from the mathematicians? It is. And the predictive modeling to say that, okay, if 10,000 plastics are found in the ocean in 2020, by 2030, it can become 50,000. That predictions is made possible by mathematicians and statisticians. They are the ones that are doing the predictions for us, and the modeling and the predictive, you know, statistics that we refer to in all our data. You know, so every field has a way of infusing or bringing in the SD, or has a part to play in collaborating with other fields in ensuring that, yes, our SDs, our sustainable development goals are embedded into education, and we are also embedding ESDs into our goals. So everyone has a part. You're French, you are in music, you have a part to play. I play Lagbaja for my students when I'm teaching about waste management. I play Lagbaja. Lagbaja sang about waste management, and they will dance to it, and we are talking about waste management, and the class is interesting. You know, I play music in my class. Okay, we can watch a movie, we can watch a documentary. All these are done by people in theater, in people in music and language and mass comm. You see now how every profession or discipline has a role to play. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mana.
Thank you very much, man. And I will speak about the durability towards the end of the session. I just want us to take those questions first.
Okay.
Take another set of questions, which will be the last set. Please don't mind, educators, we might not be able to take all the questions. However, I know that out of the questions that were being asked, your questions too will be answered. So can we have Mr. Samson from Nigeria? Can you unmute your mic and ask your question briefly?
All right, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, my question is, thank you for answering the last question, because I also teach mathematics, and I've been thinking how to embed mathematics into the SDG program. But my other question is, there's been a disparity between rural schools and urban schools, between private schools and public schools. And one thing I've learned in this ESD and SDG is that there should be inclusiveness. How do we carry those people that are less informed or that don't have the exposure, then those in the rural schools or those in public schools, in some kind of public school? How do we go about with this SDG with them? Because I feel that they even need it more than the urban settlers.
Okay, thank you. Then can we have, I'm trying to see, we have to make it also balanced. We have, okay, Raymond from Tanzania, kindly unmute your mic and ask your question. Raymond from Tanzania, you can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Thank you. Am I heard?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you. Actually, first of all, I'd like to thank Doctor for the presentation, but also host for walking us through the presentation. Though I was a little bit late because of some other activity, but through comments and the reviews, I managed to catch up to understand what was the main topic. I'm having actually two questions. The first one is, according to the case study you cited, that it seems to be a little bit complicated to the other parts of the Africa, because I'm coming from East Africa, and I'm 100% sure that we have some friends here who are also coming from East Africa. So how are we going to infuse this knowledge and abilities that we want to deliver to our pupils or our students, basing on the full context of African continent? Because I don't want to believe if the curriculum that we use in East Africa is the same as the curriculum that's used in Nigeria. But also we have environmental difference, because we know in curriculum we have different categories. We have context and content. So when you're talking about content, we can comply and comprehend to each other. But when you're talking about context, that's the place where we come to differ. So how are we going to infuse this, what we are trying to teach ourselves, goes with the environment and the real context of where we're coming from, considering all parts of Africa, east, the west, the south, and north? The second question is, for the meantime, while we are proceeding with our session and lessons, I would actually, it's a kind of question, but also a request. I would like to request if we can have a direct link that can help us to access these assignments, because as you can see, some others are joining late and some others are joining early. So you can find that someone joined late because of the network problem and the internet challenges and data, but then you join in, you find the assignments already given. So can we see the way we can adjust there so as to cope and everyone to be compliant in that aspect, so as everyone to participate and know that everything is going on well to the side. So those all were my questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right, thank you. Before we have the last question, the tracking and evaluation form has been shared. Please check the comment section. It has been shared over 10 times. To those on YouTube, the tracking and evaluation form has been pinned. You check the top of your screen. You are going to see it there. All right, can we have Emmanuel from Ghana? Kindly unmute your mic and ask your question.
Okay, the question I want to ask is the ESD resources, how can we get access to them so that we can use it to integrate in our teaching and learning in the classroom?
Okay, all right, that's fine, that's well noted. And I just want to try as much as possible to make this balance. We don't have a woman yet, but I assume that we have people that have been raising their hand. Okay, can we have, let me check the names you have here. Okay, can we have Charity? I assume you're a woman, so that it's also balanced.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Okay, good evening. Please ask your question in 30 seconds.
Okay, sir. Sorry. I joined late. I'm very sorry. I apologize for that, but I heard that the evaluation form has been sent, and yesterday too, I was unable to fill the form. And even this evening now, how do I get it? Because I didn't know how it has been sent.
Comment section.
So
it's been shared in the comment section. Just check. Thank you. Doctor, I think maybe you just have to respond to those questions and that and the call for today.
Okay. So
much time on this.
Mr. Manuel, you may have to help me. I think the second
Dr. Gama.
The second question. Yes, I can hear you. The second, can you hear me? You're frozen. Hello, Mr. Manuel.
Hello.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, so the first question talks about equality and the disparity between rural and urban schools and the private and public schools. I think this initiative this platform is one of such initiatives that is trying to bridge the gaps. And I'm happy that somebody is having already a burden and is seeing a gap that can be closed. Okay, so you can actually close this gap. You can start an NGO that would educate people in rural schools or in villages to try to bridge the gaps between the cities, the townships, and the rural environment. Okay, we can take the advocacy to the village. The programs, and during the lecture we said one of the approaches is to bridge the gap, is to do community engagements and things like that. So we need such community engagements, we need collaboration, we need to work with local government and community heads of households, heads of communities to pass the information down. That way we are bridging the gap and the information is going around. Okay, and then I think the second question also talked about the disparities in our different environment. We have our different challenges, different environments and different needs. The good thing about ESDs, these goals are towards achieving a sustainable and equitable future. We want to have an environment that can sustain itself. We want to change existing narratives and culture. So you can teach the principles in line with your unique problems. So it's not a cut and paste approach. So if I am talking about waste management for Lagos State, it's going to be different from if I'm going to talk about waste management in Johannesburg, or talking about waste management in Durban, South Africa, or talking about waste management in Tanzania, because the scenarios are different. Okay, so the approaches in collection, in sorting, or disposal, okay, we may have to tailor them to meet the needs. But at the end of the day, the objective is to have sustainable waste management. So in the process of driving or writing out your methodology or your approach is where the differences will come. You have to draft your approach or your pedagogy or your method to suit your current scenario, your own scenario. You must adapt it for it to be able to be potent and to be able to achieve the goals that you set out to do. Okay. So somebody also asked for resources for ESD. Yes, I'm going to be sharing some with the center. Okay, Mr. Emmanuel, and they will send them across to us. So the resources that I have, and then we have journals, we have readings online. There are several researches on waste management, on sustainable pedagogy, on innovative pedagogy, on community, inclusion. There are different resources that we can read and take advantage of literature that exists in our knowledge space, and we can integrate them into our learning and into our practice. So I think I'm hoping that I have answered our questions. So thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel.
Absolutely, and you did so much well, and we sincerely appreciate you, Doctor. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. Thank you for committing your time to always do this over and over again. We do not take it for granted. On behalf of the leadership of AIIDEV Africa, we sincerely want to appreciate you for your great support, and we sincerely want to appreciate your presence in today's workshop series of the Teach4SDGs program. And our dear educators, I believe it's been a great value for your time. And yeah, I can read some comments, even the YouTube participants, I can read from Favor. You are an incredible teacher. Your lessons were detailed and analyzed. Wow, thank you so much. Thank you for that feedback. And please, it's important you fill the tracking and evaluation form. Very, very important. It's active. Please check your network. Maybe it might be a network issue. That's why it's not loading and you couldn't fill it. But please ensure you fill it before you exit the workshop. And in the next 30 minutes, that form is going to be closed automatically. So please ensure you fill it. Give us a feedback. Tell us how the learning was impactful. And also tell us where you are looking forward to more in this program. And I would like to say that the next training series is going to be next week, Friday, 4:30 p.m. And most importantly, this program is meant to span between the month of August to the month of first week of November. It's a 3-month course. And the very first part is the workshop series, which we are to have 8 modules. This is just the second module which we are having. I think next week is on climate change and biodiversity conservation. And we're also going to have something in line to circular economy, green economy, and various aspects in line to sustainable development, which we can later teach our students during the activation program. Thank you so much, Dr. Agama. We sincerely appreciate this wonderful session. She has mentioned that she will share those resources, and we also added to the learning resources which we are sharing with you. And please, on the WhatsApp platform, don't share the big spoke flyer. It's meant to be shared on your personal social media. The reason why the platform was locked yesterday was because people were sharing their personalized flyer. Please don't spam the WhatsApp platform with that. We have over 1,000 people on that platform. Please don't spam the platform with that. And I believe we are teachers, and mostly we are great and mature people. We can easily stick to these regulations. Thank you so much. We believe it's been a wonderful day, and we wish you to enjoy your weekend. Have the very best. The platform is going to be open so you can engage in reasonably good discussions and get to network with each other. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
We can be.
We must be
the first generation
to end extreme poverty.
The generation
most determined
to fight injustice
and inequalities.
The generation that saves the planet from climate change.
And this is how it will get done. The global goals.
A 15-year plan
For everyone, everywhere.
with no one left behind.
We will live in a world
Where nobody
anywhere lives in extreme poverty.
Where no one
Goes hungry.
where no one wakes in the morning
Asking if there will be food today.
We will live in a world
Where no child has to die.
Diseases we know how to cure.
and where proper health care
Is a lifelong right for us all.
We will live in a world
where everyone
Goes to school.
and education gives us the knowledge
and skills
for a fulfilling life.
We will live in a world where all girls and all women have equal opportunities
To thrive and be powerful and safe.
We cannot succeed if half the world is headed back.
we will live in a world
Where all people can get clean water
and proper toilets
At home,
At school.
and a work.
We will live in a world where there is sustainable energy for everyone.
Heat, light, and power for the whole planet.
Without destroying the planet.
We will live in a world where economies prosper and new wealth
Lead to decent jobs
for everyone.
and we will live in a world where our industry
our infrastructure
And our
Best innovations
are not just used to make money, but to make all our lives better.
We will live in a world
Where prejudices and extremes of inequality
are defeated
inside our countries.
and between different countries.
where people live in cities and communities
that are safe, progressive,
And support everyone who lives there.
where we replace
what we consume.
Planet where we put back
What we take out of the earth.
We live in a world that is decisively rolling back from
climate change.
where we restore
And protect the life in our oceans and seas.
restore
and protect
life on land,
The forests,
Animals.
the earth itself.
with peace between and inside countries.
where all governments are open
And answer to us for what they do at home and abroad.
And the justice rules.
with everyone equal before the law.
where all countries and we their people
Work together.
partnerships of all kinds
To make these goals a reality.
For everyone, everywhere.
These are the United Nations global goals
for sustainable development.
Let's get to work.
Let's make